Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Our panel is going to start soon, so I just would like to make sure that we are live on YouTube and Facebook in different places. So I just would like to make sure. Perfect. Looks like YouTube has started. So I would like to ask whoever is joining us. I see that quite a few people are joining us from the M3 Center YouTube account. Please, oh, perfect. Thank you, Sedan. And then I have heard that people are hearing. So we have a very, very interesting panel today. And this is definitely the first one that I am doing here. My name is Professor Cihan Cobanoglu. I am the McGibbon Endowed Chair Professor at the College of Hospitality and Tourism Leadership at the University of South Florida. And I have two distinguished guests with me, and I would like to invite them one at a time. Professor Hanqin Chiu, welcome to our panel, Dr. Hanqin. She is from Nankai University. She is the Dean of the College of Tourism and Service Management. Welcome, Hanqin.
Thank you, Cihan. Good evening, good morning, everyone.
Thank you, thank you. And I also have Professor Valentina della Corte. Both of them are very dear friend of mine, and she's the academic coordinator for the hospitality program at the University of Naples, Federico II. Welcome, Valentina.
Thank you, Cihan. Welcome. Hi to everybody. Glad to be here.
So we are live right now. I am in Florida, and Hanqin is in Tianjin, China, and Valentina is in Naples, Italy. It's unbelievable. So it's 8 a.m. in Florida and 8 p.m. in China and 2 p.m. in Italy, right, Valentina?
Right.
Wonderful. So I would like to just tell the people who are watching us, I see that many people are joining us, which is wonderful. So for those of you who are joining us, please feel free to write your questions in the comment box wherever you are watching this. I see that from Facebook that Dr. Pat Morio joined us. Wonderful. He is saying hi to you. And okay, so we are going to take questions a little bit later, but I would like to start with what is going on right now in China and Italy. Since the coronavirus kind of started first in China and now appears to be ending in China. We'll start with Hanqin. Hanqin, can you please tell us what is life look like in China now?
Life in China slowly coming to normal, we hope, but I'm sure it is still different. And but we are starting welcoming our students back on campus, and then starting on May 8th. Just few days from today, we are slowly, batch by batch, we first of all welcoming the graduating class back to campus. And then also our shopping malls are open with a lot of discount, and our restaurants are open, and our people start going out on the street. I guess probably be a good idea for me to share with you a few videos. Gives you the real picture of what's going on in China, particularly in Tianjin. Thank you, Cihan. Back to you.
Sure. I will show the videos that you have prepared for us. Hanqin, here you are. So maybe after we show the video, you can tell us what's going on in the video. Okay? And the first video, here it is. This looks like a resort, right, Hanqin? And we see some few people. So I guess it started to open the hotels and resorts. Is that right?
Right. Yes. And there are a few more videos you probably want to show them.
Yes. Let's do it. Looks like a shopping place or a public. And you've got two more videos from you. And the last one is again from a restaurant.
这地界不算大，那说话那调哎，还真是有变化。西边杨柳青，东边金粮城，津南跟北辰是一地儿一个样。
So these are the videos. What are you going to tell us about these videos, Hanqin? What's going on there?
I guess these are some of the videos taken at the resort and also in a city called Xi'an, which is one of the major tourist cities. And also some local restaurants and people going out. I guess what I'm trying to say is that the restaurants are open. Some of restaurants are getting a lot of people. Actually, I was out yesterday for lunch, and probably I would say 50% of the seats are occupied during the peak hour, but much less busy than before, of course. And then our shopping malls are open, but they still have to temperature you, and each of us will be temperatured. And also we have to show this green code, meaning that you are registered and then you are healthy. So they do take a lot of measures to make sure that all public places are still safe for people to go. It's more sort of organized behavior, but since so start going back to normal, I think slowly by bit by bit. Yeah.
I see. So, a lot of people lost hope, at least in the United States, when everything shut down, all restaurants, barbers, shopping centers. And it looks like that if the pandemic is controlled, that things are coming back, even though slowly, but it does come back. It gives I've seen in your videos a lot of signs of hope. That was very, very good for me, at least personally.
I hope so. Yeah, I guess the virus started in China earlier, in February, late January and February. I think it has been almost 3 months. So
Right.
I guess under control, and the government took a lot of measures, keep social distance, and also control the traffic very well. I guess it is working, and it is slowly picking up. Yeah, just keep
Wonderful.
fingers crossed. We still have to take extra measures to make sure everyone is safe and everyone is in good shape. Thank you.
Health first, yes. Also, I'm going to ask Professor Valentina in a second, but I see that more than 60 people joined us live, which is wonderful. We have Professor Hanqin Chu from Nankai University, China, live. Also, Professor Valentina della Corte from Naples, Italy, live. So if you have any questions, please write them in the comment box in YouTube or Facebook, wherever you are watching this live stream. Professor Valentina, what about Italy? I know Italy is, of course, dear to many people's heart. We love Italy, just like we love China. And it hit Italy very, very hard, right? Kind of like people didn't take it seriously, I guess, in the beginning. At least that's what we hear, right, from the media. And what is going on in Italy right now? Can you please tell us?
Yes. Well, in Italy, we are just coming out of the lockdown. So today it was the first day that some of the activities are restarting. We lived a very serious lockdown because we were not allowed to go out. And this was very, very hard. But one thing I really appreciated was that citizenship answered really wonderfully, because I think this behavior gave the results. In southern Italy, it seems to be disappeared. Of course, we have to monitor everything, but if we look at the daily data, we can see that there is a huge increase in the well-being of the place and of the people. And one other aspect that people here are really appreciating is the fact that there is no pollution at all, both in the air, in the sea. Nature came out in a wonderful way, and this can be a lesson, but we'll talk about this later maybe.
Yes,
so
yes.
I don't know if you can show the video I sent you, because I would like to show you first two pictures of two cities in Italy when there was the total lockdown. Venice and beautiful areas that were totally empty, and it was really unusual. I mean, we have never seen such views, really.
Right. We are seeing on the screen right now.
Okay. Today live starting. Now this video was taken by my son, he's 12, is Giorgio Mario Borrelli. So it's a homemade video, but it can give you an idea of what happened today in Italy. That was the first day with a certain opening. Okay. It's not the total opening as in China. I mean, but just some activities were open today. And for us, it was wonderful just to see those shops open.
Wonderful. So I'm going to show the video thanks to your son who has shot this video for us, because today is a big day in Italy, just like you said. Now the lockdown eased a little bit. So life is going to go back to, let's watch this video.
You see the bars that are starting opening.
Yeah.
Or grocery shops.
And we see people bus.
Yeah, people, 20% of the seats can be used in the bus.
20%.
Everything is working.
Very good.
Yeah.
And many people have masks when they go outside.
Yes, everybody. Here in Naples, we also have a very strict government, in the region, but it was very good. And so we are obliged, of course, to wear the masks all over Italy. And so I noticed that people are following all the instructions.
Right. So my next question to all of you, and of course in America, it's no different than what you have seen. But in America, the tourism industry is impacted very, very hardly, just like in China, rest of the world. And we see some signs of easing. I'm in Florida. As of tomorrow, May 6th, I believe, May 5th, they are going to have some ease on restrictions in Florida. So some of the restaurants will open. Georgia, another state in USA, has already opened up earlier with some of the, again, restaurants, barbers, nail salons, things like this. A lot of people say it's too early in America. It's not really yet, but this is what they are saying. But I would like to also people listen to us from different parts of the world. I see people from Turkey, Italy, and Indonesia. So again, thanks to all of you. By the way, our live audience number increased to almost 80 now, which is so nice. For those of you who are watching us live, please ask your questions for Professor Hanqin from Nankai University in China, or Professor Valentina della Corte from Naples, Italy. My next question to both of you, maybe Hanqin, we will start with you, is that what is the impact of Corona in tourism in China? We know it's huge. I mean, you can maybe give us some statistics, but what is the whole idea about the impact of tourism in China? And also after the worst, you show us some videos that people come back to restaurants, and we have seen people in resorts. But do you think that this is going to increase more? And obviously, I assume that all of these people that we have seen are domestic, right? So people don't travel too much yet, I guess, in China. What is the situation right now in terms of domestic tourism within the China?
I guess ever since the shutdown and the domestic tourism was everywhere was stopped, just like in Italy was showing earlier. But it's only recently the domestic tourism started picking up. But I was saying that the numbers will keep going up if the situation is under control. But I think the Chinese government is prepared to take any necessary measures if things can get worse sometime. We don't know yet. So that's in terms of domestically. We monitor it very closely at all different levels. And international tourists to China is basically stopped. And all international tourists coming to China are mainly through Beijing, Shanghai, and Shenzhen, the few major cities plus the borders are under strictly control. And they will be all going through quarantine 14 days and then make sure that they are safe. And then they will be allowed to enter into the city.
I see. Valentina, how about in Italy? What is the situation? Of course, the whole country locked down, right? So there is not a single tourist for this long time, which is very unusual for Italy because Italy was packed with tourists, not only domestic, but from all around the world. What is the situation right now?
Yeah, I would like to share with you just a few slides to give an idea of what happened for the pandemic, you know, and therefore, just a minute.
And questions also come after you finish, Valentina. I'll bring some questions from the audience.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, so can you see?
Yep, we see your slides. Yep.
As regards Italy, we can tell that in Italy, the tourism sector.
Can you open your slide?
Yeah,
because you see the small version right now.
Yeah.
If you just click on the presentation mode.
Okay. Just a minute, because maybe it's better this one. Jojo.
Right now we see the PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Much better. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Is it better at this?
Yes, much better. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So in Italy, the tourism industry is between 12 and 15% of the gross domestic product, and if we consider also the connected industries, we get to the 25% of the whole economy in our country. That counts 216,000 hospitality firms and 12,000 travel agencies. So there was during the month of March, some statistics measure the great loss of a lot of businesses in the sector that are those that you see here, even if we can tell that if we consider these losses, we have to monitor the situation because there is a great enthusiasm in restarting the activities. As regards the incoming tourism, as Cihan underlined, it's absolutely true because our tourism is mainly foreign tourism, so compared with the domestic one. And the forecasts say that maybe we will have first tourists from overseas rather than from Europe. Of course, this depends also on the ongoing situation of the pandemic in the different countries. But some of the experts confirm that the domestic market will be the first one to look at. And we made a survey in Italy during the pandemic that showed us that 83% of the Italians plan to go to Italy in Italy, and just a few ones think that they don't have the possibility from an economic point of view, and 44% will be happy to have some kind of facilitating interventions from the government. What I can tell is that we are really planning a lot of important things because government is taking measures both to help the firms with the workers, and also the problem of the seasonal workers that in Italy are a lot really, and also supports to the firms in tourist business, entertainment, culture. These are just the first interventions of the government, and we are waiting for some other further in the next days. What I really would like to point out is that firms are showing an incredible will to restart. We had a wonderful webinar last week with the main operators, tour operators, hotel industries, hotel chains, and cruising companies. They are all studying the ways to to offer a very safe and at the same time warming product with a lot of promotional activities. For example, the Take a Stay bond that I think is used internationally. It's a kind of future where you buy the travel that you can do in a certain time period of time, and you can also use it as a gift to your friends. Firms are using also the vouchers that are usually made by firms, because when there are some cancellations, they give you the voucher that can be used in a certain period of time. And there are even destinations like this in southern Italy that is trying to attract tourists by offering some particular reductions on tax payings, incentives of different kind, and possibilities of using the Take a Stay bond as the way to buy the holiday in that area. So this is the situation right now in Italy. I think we are in front of a very important challenge, and the challenge is that we have to reconsider tourism from the point of view of the sustainable tourism, but not just as a way of discussing things, but as a very, very important tool of action. And this is what Italian firms are doing right now. They are trying to develop plans of development from a sustainable point of view, with a lot of actions that can really be a guarantee for the tourist.
Wonderful, thank you. Hanqin and Valentina, both of you, I'm going to go into the questions now. Since you mentioned the sustainability, Valentina, I would like to ask both of you. Emel Adamış asked this question. I don't know if you see it on your screen or not, but she says that, hello, will there be any initiatives for sustainability after such an amazing recovery, nature and destinations of areas, and how do you think? Valentina, since you mentioned sustainability, please answer this question quickly, then I will go to Hanqin.
Yeah, one thing I would like to underline is that, especially in southern Italy, which is really, I think the southern Italy faced the problem in a very good way, and we were also lucky, maybe, I don't know, but there is a safer situation. There are 4 destinations that are very important in our Gulf, because there are the 2 islands like Capri Islands and Ischia Islands, and then Sorrento Peninsula and the Amalfitane Coast, where the main firms in these areas are elaborating a plan for the sustainability of the areas. So some interventions in energy rather than in working to have a clean environment, and also for the transports, new ways of transport, green and blue for the sea. They are also adding a specific, like a sort of label for each of these destinations, where the firms that can get this label have some specific factors in terms of safety, of security, apart from the instructions that are given by the government. They are also adding some aspects that also characterize the tourist offer in that specific area. So each firm is proposing a very, very charming and, very comfortable service that is made of particular tools and hints for the client and the customer, so that it can be more satisfied. And one thing that I would like to underline is that some of the activities are shared by the destinations, because they need, like an inter-destination approach. Others regard each of them in particular. And this is the way we in Italy usually propose our services in Italy, because they are made in Italy services. And this is the approach we are trying to keep in this process.
Wonderful, thank you. How about you, Hanqin? How is the sustainability? Do you think there will be a more emphasis on?
Sorry, I cannot hear you. Stop.
Sustainable. Okay, can you hear me, Hanqin? Did you hear me?
Oh, no, it's better. Yeah, now you're back. I lost you for a while.
I don't know what's going on, but the internet connection sometimes may be a little bit tricky.
Yeah.
So again, back to you, Hanqin. What about the sustainability emphasis after Corona pandemic in China?
Well, I think it's going to be very difficult. Now the companies are thinking about how to survive. And first of all, I guess we're talking about the survival first. I heard some companies start laying off already. And then in order to be sustainable, probably they need to think more creatively and then looking for probably lower the price and picking up the basic cash flow first. And I guess I think they have to think about the business survival first before talking about anything else at this stage.
But I assume that sustainability is going to happen anyway because the numbers are down, right?
Yeah.
You were talking about 50% occupancy, 25% of the buses, all that stuff. So I'm going to move on to the many questions are coming. So quickly, I would like to bring the question from Sedan Doğan. Thanks to her for asking this question. What kind of precautions and or virus-related behaviors must remain when the virus situation goes away? I assume that she's asking within the context of tourism and hospitality. So Hanqin, you told us that there's now temperature checks, right?
Yes.
Which is kind of like normal. And people have to get a certificate that they are free of Corona. Then they are allowed to board the trains. Do you think that, at least in China, and Valentina, we're going to ask you for Italy, is this going to continue even after the pandemic is over? Hopefully that there's no more danger anymore. Hanqin,
answer.
Hanqin, I asked you about China. Can you hear me?
Yes. Are you asking me?
Yes.
I guess from what I have seen in China, particularly in the city I'm based in, this will continue for quite a while because there's a speculation that the virus may come back again. So I don't see any sign of taking less measures unless we are absolutely sure. And even our students coming back on campus, the university has arranged the buses and to pick them up from three different train stations, airport, and then they will be brought back to the campus and still absolutely quarantined. I think there's still very strict measures from every stop. The university, we just had a meeting this morning and goes through 10 different measures to make sure that there's no risk. I don't see this is going to disappear in the next few months or maybe even later the year. It is good that we like it. Is to keep it very safe, especially the students coming from all different cities. So they are very, cautious on this.
Right. We're going to talk about education in a second, but Valentina, let's hear from you about this particular question in terms of life after Corona. Will there be changes forever?
My idea is that unless a clear remedy is found out, there will be strict rules anyway to follow, especially the social distance and the use of masks and this kind of stuff. So this I think will accompany or will come with the firms and their activity, their daily activity for a few months at least, and then we will see what's happening. But we have to be caution is required right now. For example, even restaurants in Italy, we have a great problem because the restaurants have very small areas. Okay, because the streets are narrow in Italy, everything is small. So there is a huge problem about the social distance. How can they manage this and how can they be profitable from this point of view? Because there is also this problem that is connecting. So now everything is at the study and they are trying to see if there are some open spaces that can be used for this kind of activities in order to help them keep the social distance. Of course, firms have to be creative because if we think about social distance in a sector like ours, where the emotion is the thing that really strikes you when you leave the experience of tourism, we have to find a way, to give a safe message, but at the same time to give also an impression of something that is very comfortable, warming, and close to the customer's needs.
Right. And we have one follow-up question from Alessia Puglia. How do you think the tourism industries could carry out all of the safety measures that will be required in order to ensure safety for all the tourists? So in my opinion, for this question, just like you said, right now, the issue is to come back, right? Survival. Because in America also too, there is a lot of tension. Maybe some of you watch from the media, but there is even protests that really say that we don't want to quarantine. We don't want to stay at homes. Give us our rights. Like they are talking about human rights. So currently the hospitality tourism industry, they just would like to get it back, in whatever capacity it might be. So I think in China, in Italy, hotels, restaurants, tourism organizations welcome all the precautions like temperature checks. Emirates Airlines, you probably heard that they give even people corona tests, rapid tests, before they board the planes. And I hear that more and more companies are going to do similar things to clear their mind that people are not sick. That's how the consumer confidence is going to come from. Georgia, the state of Georgia opened up. It's the first state that opened up after all the restrictions. Not all the restrictions, but at least some of the restrictions. And tourists are still scared to go there. People are not ready yet because they need to have that confidence for this to happen. And like I said, we're going to go into the education in a second. But here's one question from Jack. I would like to ask professors, how do you feel like the outbound tourism of your own location in the next few months? In other words, will Italians travel outside of Italy? Will Chinese? China lost the New Year, right? The New Year was in that time. I don't know the statistics, but millions of Chinese tourists usually go abroad during the New Year, Chinese New Year. That was impacted severely. And do you think that people are going to start going to outside of location soon from Italy and China? Hanqin, let's start with you, please.
Well, I think in either inbound and outbound, that will still consider international traveling. And at the moment, I think we are only, particularly for the city I'm in, we are only allowed to travel within the city. It's not even outside the city. If you go outside the city, you have to apply for all kind of permit to make sure that you are safe, and then you have this green code. And then I think it's still under a lot of cautious measures for even travel within China. Even though you're allowed, but there are certain measures taken. I do not see in the near future that people can go outside China as we used to.
Right. And also, Hanqin, you just answered Peter Vargas' question. Chinese tourist foreign travel intention is up to 50%, more than before COVID-19. Will China control of outbound tourist numbers? You just answered that one. So I just want to point it out that it is not easy yet. It will come. It will probably take a year for it to come back to normal, provided that there is no second outbreak. How about Italy, Valentina, about that one for the outbound?
I think Italians love to travel and they are waiting for the time to start traveling. But of course, there is a change between, I think, inbound and outbound tourism right now because it's considered to be safer to stay in one's region, in one's country. And from this point of view, I think, in the first phase, maybe there will be a more an increase in domestic tourism. Right. But I think that Italians, since they love to go abroad, they love to travel, once they have a clear idea that a country or a destination is safe, I think they're going. Yeah. I am the first one.
Wonderful. Me too. I have the pleasure of serving in both of your universities as a visiting professor at Nankai University and also University of Naples, Federico II. If the corona did not happen, I was supposed to come to Nankai University in the beginning of March to record a lecture for Professor Hanqin. And Valentina, I would be now, right? I would be in Italy as we speak. And 2 weeks ago, we had a conference. We were going to have a conference, but we had to cancel it, unfortunately. So we'll come back. Let's switch to education. But let me just ask you one more question from one of our audience member. By the way, our numbers increased now. We have more than 80 people joining. For those of you who just joined us new, if you have any questions for Professor Hanqin and Valentina, please let us know. Simone L said that I would like to know how, in your opinion, tourism companies can face this crisis and what strategies can be used. Who would like to go first? Valentina, Hanqin, about the tourism crisis strategies in China or in Italy?
China before. Let's keep the same order.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I guess it's going to be very difficult for the companies and also for the hotels and for the airlines. It's not something it's up to the individual company or the CEOs. There are a lot of government measures you need to follow. So I think when I was looking at the Ctrip, when in early February or late January was trying to catch a flight back to China from Hong Kong, and basically you are allowed to change at any time. Like Ctrip has a very clear refund policy. Basically, any request of changes will be entertained and no administrative charges at all. So I guess according to the government instructions, they have to follow. So it's going to be very difficult for the company. Now it's more than the normal business crisis management. It's so much beyond than that, I think. It really depends on the overall situation. I guess whatever comes first is the safety for everyone involved. I really cannot predict. I guess it has to be very much depend on how the situation is going to be stabilized. And also, it's not just within one country, it's going to be involved in many other aspects. It's very difficult to predict at this moment. I think the companies need to be prepared for it's going to be a very difficult time.
Right. How about Italy, Valentina?
Well, I think that and I would like also to give a positive message also to the students in hospitality field that are listening to us, because one thing I can tell is that firms are very willing to also apply, new tools and new approaches that are necessary in this process. Putting safety in the first place, safety for the customers and safety also for the employees, people that work in the firm. So this is the first challenge of responsibility they are called to answer. And they are really organizing themselves to ensure the safety of the customer. And on the other hand, they are also trying to develop strategies that can, favor a more genuine offer, the connection with nature, trying also new ways of proposing experiences that are perceived as safer also by the customer. Of course, we also have to distinguish between leisure tourism and MICE industry, because I think that MICE industry is in a very difficult situation right now. And so all those hospitality, firms that are working a lot with conferences and congresses, they have to find new strategies. And this is not easy, because I don't think this business in particular will start to again in the short way. At the same time, however, if we think about also art cities in Italy, where there is a high percentage of foreign tourism, also art cities have to reinvent their offer, to propose something that is different, that ensures safety and also a lot of activities in the open air. And so we have theaters and parks and museums that are starting collaborating for initiatives in the open air. So you will be able to, for example, in Naples, you can also listen to a concert of classical music in the wonderful park of one of our museums in Capodimonte, for example. So these are the initiatives that they are trying to put in place.
Right, perfect, thank you. And I would like to just bring this question quickly. Angelica De Luca Loduca. For all, does it exist a real-time observatory of tourism, tourist arrivals, number of presences, where to monitor the real-time situation? For this question, at least in the United States, there is one company which I had worked with them earlier. Let me see if I can show my screen very quickly. This is a company called Hotel Runner. Hotel Runner is a distribution company. They have 38,000 hotels from 110 plus countries, and they share their booking numbers. So this is the actual booking numbers per week that you see that for from April, and it's compared last year to this year. So hotelrunner.com is one that I know, and I know that Smith Travel Research also shares the data from the global world. I don't know if there is any additional agencies or statistics agencies or firms or companies that share this information, real tourism numbers. Hanqin, is there anything in China?
Not that I am aware of. Yeah.
Right. Maybe C-Trip may have some data, but I don't know if they share or not. Maybe we'll see more later. How about you, Valentina? How about in Italy?
I think this person pointed out one of the main weaknesses in the Italian system, because we do not have actually a real observatory in Italy. And this is one of the reasons why I recently wrote also the government about this, because it's very important to have an update, a continuous update, and to monitor the situations and see what's really happening. So there are some activities that are made by the National Organization for the Promotion of Italy in tourism, and some activities by the regions, but there is a lot of confusion about that, and I think this is one of the items where we should work quickly on.
Okay, wonderful. One last question before we go into education. Andres is joining us from Costa Rica. Welcome to him and the rest of the world. I see that we have many, many people from different parts of the world, which is amazing. That's the power of technology here. Do you think that countries will have to implement some sort of requirement to start receiving foreigners, such as asking for a free of corona certificate? I think that in America, there is not, I don't think that they require this. How about in China? I know that China, you have to have for domestic tourists to go from one location to another. But is there such a thing, or will there be? Do you know any plans? If I want to come to China, for example, or Italy, do I have to get a free of corona certificate to come?
Well, I guess it's highly likely. Domestically, we are all required to register online through WeChat and the barcode. Everywhere you go, you need to show your green health code. So that's a must for everyone. On top of that, I guess my understanding is that they want to trace down how many people coming to any restaurant, any shops, even the convenience shop in front of my building. They would ask you to scan the code provided by the shop. That makes that they documenting who comes in, who came at what time, if anything detected, and they can trace you down. So there are two different measures already in place. Everywhere you go, you are required to do this. So I guess it is likely, probably, for international, I would imagine, but I don't know. I think it's a good way to make sure that first of all you are healthy, and secondly, when you come to a place you are not normally to be, and to show people that you are virus free. And also, if there's something happen for the people near you, then they can trace down easily. I think it's going to become very transparent.
Wonderful. Valentina, how about in Italy? Are there any talks about requiring people to have a certificate?
Yes, we can say that there are, first of all, some specific requests by the international or tour operators. So the firms need to have some specific, rules to follow, and they also have to show some certificates. So it's a quite complex evaluation that is made by the tour operators, internationally speaking. But at the same time, in this case, I think we have to be very careful about the idea of a free of corona certificate, because first of all, it does not depend on the firm itself, but also on the destination. So there is a great influence between the situation in the destination and the perception, of the safety in the firm. So this is the first problem that firms have to manage. Secondly, I don't think it's the message of free of corona, because if anything happens, it's terrible then. I mean, you have to transmit the idea of a very safe place. But I think that we also have to develop this idea in the long run. This can be a challenge, because if we think about the word in Chinese, of crisis, there are two ideograms. One is a threat and one is an opportunity. So we have to use this as an opportunity, because if we adopt a sustainable and safe approach, this has to continue in a different way maybe, but this is the real storytelling we can do. So
Right.
there is a big change on the plate.
Okay, let's switch to education. So we are all educators. I work at University of South Florida. Professor Hanqin from Nankai University. Professor Valentina is from University of Naples, Federico II in Italy. So in America, at least as far as I'm concerned, I'm teaching online education for the last 20 years. This is not new for me. And believe me that 20 years ago, I was recording my lectures. Amateur, of course, not very easy. Now it's much easier, just like we are doing right now. We are using a website, we are recording this and live streaming at the same time. We have Zoom now. So at least I was not shocked when we were getting the order from our university, no more face-to-face education. Now everything is going to what they call remote education, synchronous or asynchronous. But I know in China and maybe in Italy, I don't want to assume, but at least that was my perception, that online education was perceived a little bit lower than the face-to-face education. But this pandemic required all of us that are in China, Italy, and Turkey, or for the rest of the world, immediately switch from face-to-face to online education. What did this mean for your countries? Hanqin, let's start with you. What challenges or opportunities did this bring to Chinese education?
Thank you very much. Well, it is a big challenge for everyone, I'm sure. But I think because the situation in China happened earlier, so we have had some experience of dealing with this. Starting from the Ministry of Education in China, they have said it clearly to all, send a clear message to all the universities, schools at all different levels, kindergarten and primary, all the way to university, that the schools are shut down and then the classes are stopped offline, but the learning and teaching will continue. So that is the clearest message, and also sent by the Ministry of Education in China. So ever since the end of January, all university senior management start preparing for this, and particularly in Nankai, I came back on. We were in winter break, starting from January 16 to February 16. I think it's about 4 weeks to 5 weeks holiday. Normally, we didn't have to come back until mid-February to prepare for the starting of the new semester on February 17 this year. So then I was called back earlier, and then of course, as a senior administrator, I need to be there. So I came back, and then we attended all kind of meetings and be prepared for this. And university-wide immediately organized online teachers training, and so I was heavily involved. and then helping out, coming up with strategies. I think it was very helpful meetings and discussions among the senior administrators and management team. And then what we did is to allow 3 different ways of course, the classes, the schools are shut down. The students, we know they're not coming back. And then we were able to start the classes and the teaching online right on time, meaning that our semester started on February 17 online with a lot of preparation and training. And then we allow 3 different ways of online teaching. And for those colleagues who are not exposed to any online teaching before, we ask them to do the minimum. Basically, you can do a spark, we call it. You share your teaching materials, you give a lot of preparation for your students, you talk to them. So that is the minimum. And then you will be doing live broadcasting for sure. For example, if your class is on Monday at 9 o'clock, you will be there. So we ask, that's the minimum you should do. And then the second way is that you are adopting others' material, online material, MOOCs, and whatever you can do. And then plus the live broadcasting, plus the WeChat. And then thirdly, which is the highest level you can achieve, is that you have your own MOOCs. Like for myself, I recorded my lecture, I shared my courses around the world. So therefore, my life was a bit of easier. And then what I did is that I asked all my students and take my MOOCs online, and then we will just do online discussion. Then every other week, we do live broadcasting, then we add some new content. That was my original idea anyway, 50% online and 50% interaction. So basically we allow 3 different ways, but everyone has to teach online. That's a clear message. We had some resistance from a few professors, and later on, but we sort of compromised a little bit. You can delay your class. But then later on, we realized that's going to be difficult because some students have to graduate. So eventually, because we have 2 short semesters, some was hesitating. We allowed them to think about it, and then they didn't offer the class on the first 8 weeks. So they double up on the remaining 8 weeks. They still managed to finish everything within this semester. And then so far so good. We managed to get our class going on time, and then also we allow online sort of continuous assessment, and then exam. Still some exams, particularly the lab-driven exams, probably we have to do some special measures, delay that. But for majority of the exams which can be taken online, we even consider proctor exams. So it seems so far so good. We managed to get all the classes going on time, and the students will be able to finish what they need to finish.
Wonderful.
It's
Thank you,
difficult, yeah.
Hanqin. Yes, I will ask you about the future in a second, but let's hear from Valentina. How did Italy face this online or remote education challenge? What happened in
Mind
Italy?
sharing a few slides, or
Yeah, feel free. Absolutely.
Okay.
Here we go. Yep.
Just a minute.
We see.
Okay. Just a minute, Jojo. I don't know what.
Good that you have your son there with you. He's tech savvy.
No, I don't know what happened here, but it's not the.
We see.
Okay, so I go on this one. Can you see this one?
No, you need to stop and share again. You need to choose which screen you need to share. Then it will
Sorry
come.
about that. But
No, that's okay. This is live stream, so it can happen. And
okay. Well, as regards.
Just pick the screen you like, Valentina.
Okay. George. Okay. Well, as regards the situation in Italy, there were prompt interventions from the minister that allowed universities to set a lot of important tools for digital teaching. Of course, there were different situations between universities. For example, to be frank, I was very, very lucky to be in Federico II because we have an online platforms. We have had it since a lot of years. And so we have some experience with digital teaching. And but there were a lot of incentives, very important incentives, both for students and for universities to use in the best way this kind of tools. And in fact, for example, the University of Federico II got very important results in terms of exams that were taken between the 9th of March and the 9th of April, and also a lot of graduations. So things are going on. Even in my courses, we didn't lose one lesson because we are continuing to make all the activities. And what is interesting, I think, in Italy is the perception of people regarding this kind of teaching, because Italians are expecting to use digital tools more, also in the future in this sector. And also the digital devices that are proposed have been used with a huge increase, and even from the population that usually never use such tools. 46% of the people are willing to use also this kind of systems of smart working, even when they go back to work. And so this is very important. If we consider the different generations, we are making a study on higher education to see what is the propensity towards the digital tools in education in different fields, or not only in young people, but also considering possible courses and specialization activities for older people. And it's interesting to see that the millennials really or now use digital tools for any kind of things that they do. And so from this point of view, in terms of education, we are really enlarging the range of tools we are using for teaching. So this was a great experience for all of us. The Z generation that is approaching to digital stuff shows also this propensity for different activities, and it's when this generation will be millennial, this red area will be even larger. So we have to think about this, because 94% of students will benefit from e-learning, and things they will benefit. They are appreciating a lot of things from e-learning. Of course, one thing that our students really miss is the social side, is the aspect of meeting each other. The same is for smart working, because the percentage in smart working are of course different from the education stuff, but people are appreciating some of the aspects of the digital activities. And this, I think, is a very important lesson for us, because my guess is that in the future, soon after the pandemic, we as teachers will have a wider set of tools that we can use. And our students have a lot of more tools that can really stimulate their interacting. For example, the students in my course, that were accustomed to have lessons where they had to work together in teams and develop projects together. They are still doing this through the online system that we adopt. They are starting now a very important lab that is conceived for the firms and at the same time the students, in order to work on projects that are useful for the firms that are involved, because they are partners of our course. And this is very important before the stage period. I think we are really enriching our background of everything, and at the same time we can use the digital tools to better develop a sustainable approach even in our learning activities. And I think this is the challenge for our future.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Valentina, you also answered the question about the future as well too.
Yeah.
What is that gonna do for? So, Hanqin, I know that you are a leader in online education. You developed MOOCs, even right now in Nankai University, in your previous institutions. What do you think about the future of education in China? You mentioned that in May 8th, the students are coming back to campus. If, let's say that 6 months later, nobody remembers Corona, Corona is finished, everybody is healthy, do you think that Chinese education system will go back to 90% face-to-face education, or do you think that this impact is going to continue and educators are going to use a hybrid system, just like Valentina was telling earlier, like many people are going to use this again? What is your idea about that in China, future of education?
Well, I'm a future believer. I believe that one way or the other, even before the coronavirus, I was thinking that the future of university will be one way or the other affected by technology. And with the coronavirus, unfortunately, so people do suffer a lot, and then it certainly speed up and the process of advancing the education through technology enhanced. And immediately, I think we have now the Ministry of Education has already made it very clear that they support this online, offline blended learning. All the classes, particularly those big classes, over 100 people, most of the concept, the very basic knowledge can be delivered online. Actually, before this coronavirus, I was in Australia, I was in UK, particularly in Monash. The whole teaching block, teaching learning building was converted into all sort of like interactive, technology enhanced, digitalized the learning environment. Nobody goes to the large classroom anymore. So that was before the coronavirus. So I particularly believe that it is going to happen to be that way, and we are prepared to take a lead on that. I have already worked with my management team and my associate dean in learning and teaching, and looking after the teaching side of the college. We will convert almost all the core courses, and 50%, only 50% of the essential concepts and theories. For example, the research method. You don't have to teach research method repeating to all different classes on what is a literature review, what is a qualitative research, and what is quantitative research. So we have already made this research method online, and then everyone is asking for our class, for our MOOCs. So one of the very junior faculty and a very active researcher is leading that course. She just joined us from PolyU. And a few others, we developed tourism planning and policy. We developed China's role in the global tourism industry. And this course, all the concept, what is international tourism, what is domestic tourism, we have all made it online and then shared globally. And then this is only the first batch of the courses. We already got the funding to convert the remaining probably 10 more courses. And this year we will finish that. And eventually we want all our core curriculum to be online for the essential part. Then we will save the space and the time in the curriculum to do the small class discussion, experiential learning. And then I am bringing a major company to our campus to show us how smart tourism actually works for the theme parks, for the hotels, and all these smart services. Just bring them to the classroom because they don't have to learn. We save the classroom time for discussion by working with the industry people. They actually come to our online class. So, and then I'm building a TED Talk studio type of classroom. So all the global leaders were invited, and the professors like yourself and Professor Valentina, if you come to Nankai with your permission, we will record your lectures with a TED Talk style, and then make it available to all the schools in in China, because the education resources in China are not very evenly distributed. We are in a very fortunate position as a major comprehensive university with a healthy funding, but a lot of small colleges in the remote areas, we plan to share our courses for free. And also we will Skype them into our classroom, just like this, what we are teaching. Everyone in a small village can listen to the leading professors and the scholars to share with them the most updated knowledge. So that's my big plan in the next 2 years to make it a 3-stage. First stage, we build the core concept online and series, and then we save the classroom time, and then to work with industry leaders and bring our students and industry leaders together. And thirdly, we build the experiential center with a smart technology on campus. So I hope I can show everyone this facility, if Ante can be held on time, not postponed in January 2021, which will be hosted by Nankai. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. You know, Hanqin, absolutely. Enter is going to take place in Nankai University in Tianjin in January next year. And Hanqin and I are the co-chairs of this conference. But we hope that by January next year, things are going to go back to normal and we'll see it. Hanqin, we're going to close soon because we are over 1 hour limit. But very quickly, you mentioned something very interesting. You said we have got the funding to convert these classes into MOOC format, right? Online.
Yes.
That funding is critical because it's not easy. I am doing currently, along with Sedan Doğan, Gözde Türktarhan, and Muhittin Çavuşoğlu, a global study on students who switch to remote education. What we have found in there that some professors were not ready or universities were not ready because it requires infrastructure to be able to do that. Some professors just like put the PowerPoint slides into a website and call that remote instruction. So clearly that's not what it is. It takes time. It takes a lot of effort to do that. Online education is not easy. It is really probably even more laborious, at least in the first run. But the effective part is that you can reach to many more people once you do that first initial work. For this reason, we also converted our own master's program for hospitality management at the University of South Florida from face-to-face to 100% online. Corona was not the reason why we have done it. We were discussing this for a long time, but it did happen like this. So they're asking if you can share your presentations with the audience. Let me know, and we can put it on m3center.org website.
Cihan, can I just tell two things? Because in education, I think also it depends on the sector, of course, because there are some activities like lab activities in medicine rather than biology or this kind of stuff. They need to work on the site. I mean, for us, we can really think about mixing the tools. And this is what we are doing also in my course. And I would like, can I just share a slide with the information? Sure. Because now the people can apply for the application. You can send the applications because we have applications for our foreign students till the 15th of May.
Wonderful.
1 p.m. And for the Italian students, there will be the call on this website, and it's not really ready, but it will be ready in a short time. So stay tuned because we will give all the information. We also have a PhD call with one scholarship in tourism. So for those who are interested, it can be a good opportunity if they want to come to study for a while in Italy. And I think it's very important for all of us to exchange our experiences and views.
Wonderful. Thank you, Valentina. We will also post that information on m3center.org as well for those of them, along with your slides if you share. Jinfa Zhang, hello everyone. I would like to know about preventive measures regarding international students preparing to study in your countries, especially in China. Hanqin, let's start with you quickly, very quickly. Okay. Is there anything going on right now in China?
Well, so actually, well, of course, at the moment, our international student cannot come back, but I'm sure, when things are clear, we will still welcome all the international students. In fact, actually, just a couple of weeks ago, we just interviewed a batch of international students applying for Nankai PhDs. I took one girl from Middle East. So I'm sure the international students will continue to welcome you. And I think as soon as this travel ban is cleared, I'm sure things will go back to normal. Yeah.
Right. How about you, Valentina, in Italy?
Yeah, I think the students in Italy will have a lot of opportunities because we will have the two channels working together. I mean, both online and on site. So, for example, even the master degrees, and as you were telling before, there are a lot of online modules that can be taken. So there is the possibility for those that are abroad and cannot really attend the university, they can apply for the online activities. And we also have a lot of MOOCs on our website that is open and free as in China. So I'm glad that we are sharing this approach of, for a free culture. And I think it's very important because being free doesn't mean that it's not something valuable and rich in contents, but maybe it's the opposite.
Absolutely. I agree with you. We also, M3 Center at University of South Florida, is putting together a MOOC, and we will open it up to everybody. Thank you so much. In closing, I just want to show you Mr. Özge Ersu. Valentina, you met him in Istanbul in Globe Conference.
Okay.
He's a professional travel guide. Very special man. He's saying great discussion, so much to be noted. And he thanks us in 3 different languages. Teşekkürler in Turkish, Şiye Prof. Hanqin, grazie molto, della Corte. I guess that I don't speak Italian, but optimistic and pessimistic aspects, hopes and recovery. We also thank him and all of the viewers. We still have a lot of live audience, even though we passed the 1-hour mark that we have set for ourselves. Professor Hanqin, Professor Valentina, thank you so much. Let's take your closing remarks in 1 minute or less. Dr. Hanqin.
Thank you very much for Cihan organizing this very informative and session, which I really appreciate. I'm glad that we were able to talk. And thanks to the technology, we continue to what we're doing. I'm sure we have all kind of opportunities to work together with all 2 of you and with the rest of the world. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you. Professor Valentina.
Yeah, I think we can manage this situation. And I also think that all of us can work together to really live in a better world. And this is a very important responsibility that we all have.
I appreciate it. Thank you again. I agree with you. The hope is here. We are going to overcome this. Tourism industry is resilient. Educators are resilient. Look how much quickly we can adapt. And the students also are amazing as well too. So they are adapting themselves. Hopefully they are learning lifelong lessons from this crisis that they can apply in their lives later. We were live from China. Professor Hanqin, it's 9:13 p.m. there. So thank you for staying up for us. And Professor Valentina, it's 3:13 p.m. in Italy, Naples right now. And we are at 9:13 in Sarasota, Florida. And thank you again. Hopefully we'll see you in person in Italy and China, and we can host you in Florida as well.
Yeah.
Wish everyone very safe and healthy.
Thank you. You too as well. Bye-bye. Thank you. Thanks for listening to us.
Bye.
We appreciate it.
Bye.